Now let's deep dive into this big LGBTQ story for today. I am Bishop Darrell Watkins, and let's queer up the worldview. U.S. added to CIVICUS Watchlist amid threats to civil liberties. In a significant development, the United States was added to the CIVICUS Monitor Watchlist on Sunday. CIVICUS, a network of civil society organizations like Amnesty International, voiced concerns over President Donald Trump's approach to democratic norms and global cooperation, calling it an assault on these principles. CIVICUS pointed to Trump's actions such as slashing over 90% of foreign aid contracts and his executive actions targeting diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, programs. Mandeep Tiwana, Interim Co-Secretary General of CIVICUS, criticized these measures, saying, quote, "The Trump administration seems hell-bent on dismantling the system of checks and balances, which are the pillars of a democratic society," end quote. Tiwana called for the U.S. to, quote, "uphold the rule of law and respect constitutional and international human rights norms," end quote, emphasizing that Americans across the political spectrum are disturbed by what they see as undemocratic actions from the current administration. The White House, however, has rejected CIVICUS's assessment, with Deputy Press Secretary Anna Kelly dismissing it as, quote, "nonsense," stating that President Trump is leading the most transparent administration in history. The brother of Jesus, his name was James. He was the leader of the church at Jerusalem in the first century. And he often said to the Apostle Paul, "Motherfucker, please." The most transparent. Can you stand it? So anyway, I can't stand it. When the country, who in our lifetimes was steeped in apartheid, when they say y'all are all kinds of wrong, that's a beat. That's a flag on the play. We should listen to me about lesbian restaurants. That is a flag on the play. We need to stop and take a look at that. So it's really quite embarrassing that our national myth has always been that we're the leaders of freedom, and the reality is now hitting us in the face that we are actually quite behind.
Yeah, very behind. Isn't that crazy though? We used to be respected by other countries. We were thought of as safe haven where anybody can run to, right? And now that's not the case. Everybody has a huge target on their back. If it's not trans, it's healthcare, it's Medicare, it's the HIV/AIDS cuts. It's just
cancer research.
It's cancer research. It's getting it from all angles.
Yeah.
You know, before we were the laughing stock of the world. Now people are more like, oh God, you know, they're fearful. They feel bad for us now.
What about us?
You know, there were some things in our democratic society that were just different than any place else on the globe. And those differences made it a special place. And even though it's been a struggle and a battle, right, to try to obtain civil rights for all, the possibility was there because that foundation and that formation and those democratic norms were there. There was always the possibility that we could take one more step. When Amnesty International and these organizations come out and go, "You've gone into the danger zone," it's really, it's dangerous for all of humanity. America is already the global leader. We're already the country that's able to be all across different countries, bringing medical aid and bringing life-saving cancer treatments and different things. We already do that.
For other countries.
For everybody on the globe. We're known to be the leader in negotiations. When you have that position, it's very, very important position, and for you to take it seriously. I'm really worried about, I think people don't understand, and you probably do, I think people don't understand the fragility of humanity. It is not guaranteed that we get to be here for much longer.
Wow.
It won't take a virus much more deadly than COVID to wipe us all out.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't take much. There's no promises. And I think for the United States to be in this position, that these organizations have to come out and go, hey, they're not doing it for politics.
No.
They're doing it because the survival of humanity is on the line.
Wow.
Because if we're not watching these viruses, if we're not on top of these diseases, if we're not all working together at this stuff, we're all going to go down.
Yeah.
Like, we're all going to go down. These things don't care about your politics.
No.
They don't care about borders.
Your
They don't
religion,
care
your
about how much
morality.
money you have.
No,
They don't care about
no, think about it. Think about it.
Be smart.
We have a measles case in Miami, right?
Measles.
We
You know
have
what I mean?
more than
Measles.
one.
More than one now. Okay, more than one now. No, but you know,
Yeah.
you're right. You know what I mean? But these are our current fears, Paul, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're going to cut this aid to global, right, help when it comes to HIV and AIDS, right? How about if a new strain comes up and then comes on over? That is
Which
a
it will.
possibility.
Which it will.
Oh my God, Paul!
Because that's how viruses work.
It's not easy for those organizations to come out and say the things that they're saying, and they're not saying it against his politics. They're saying it because humanity
humanity.
itself
Keep us
is
alive.
going into a danger zone of, like, we don't get to survive if we don't do this, guys.
Okay, but at the same time, democracy is fragile, and we've always known that.
Mm-hmm.
We're at the point at 250 plus years that we're like in the terrible teens.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're acting out, we're being difficult, we're being snotty, we're being rude. And I think that the current 60 days that the Donald Trump administration, and it hurts me to say those words, Donald Trump, is that it's transactional. It's all about dollars and cents. It's all about money. It's not about lives. It's not about ethics. It's not about morality. It's not about fairness. It's about, I want to spend this much and you get none of that. However, since democracy is fragile, the last 2 weeks where people, especially the Republican Party, have gone, whoa, 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 I didn't realize this, how the chainsaw effect that you're going to do, and you're just not going to have the Department of Education, you're not going to have the Department of this, you're not going to...
I didn't know it's going to affect me.
Well, yes,
This is what
we
people
got a
say.
little greedy, and
Yeah.
it's all self-centered, but at the same time, I think people are also paying attention going, this does impact me, but it also impacts 150,000 other people in my community, or 500,000 people. Look at Nebraska. The entire state's going, holy crap, what the hell happened? So I think because democracy is fragile, and we've been blessed to teach all these other groups and all these other countries what democracy is, that they're now bringing us back into line saying, hey, wait a minute, this is a checks and balance system here. You supported us for 50 years, 100 years. You taught us what democracy is about. We follow it. Now it's our turn to help you come back. And maybe this is a warning sign, and I'm taking it as a warning sign. But I also am hoping to God that in the next year, things calm down and people start realizing that this can't be a dollars and cents economy. A process. This has to be, we have to remember how.
Well, that's not what a government is.
And I know
people
that
keep
you know that.
saying it should be run like a business. I'm like, it should
But business
not.
and government are two different
That's
things.
not.
Humans involved.
That's not what its responsibility is.
And that's my point. That the government is about resources. It's not about dollars and cents as a business was. It's not about widgets. It's not about products sold, products spent. It's about people's lives and the fairness of the community.
And one of the responsibilities of government is the safety of its
Yes,
citizens.
exactly.
And so when
Fairness
you
and
take
welfare
away,
is part of democracy.
Absolutely.
It's not just a tyranny of the majority.
No, that's
it's,
right.
It's also making sure that everyone is taken care of. That no one's left out.
And that means everyone. not just the people that
recognizing,
are unwoke.
right. I mean, COVID was supposed to be that great teacher, right?
Wow.
It was like,
You
it
went there,
doesn't matter. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter how much money you have. I know billionaires that died because they were putting anti-COVID stuff and anti-vaccine stuff on their Facebook pages, and they wouldn't go in for treatment, and they died at home because the virus doesn't care.
No, it
like the
doesn't care
virus
how much
doesn't
money you
care
got.
about
It doesn't
us.
care.
Don't make judgments.
But this
Yeah.
story,
But did we learn the lesson?
No.
Did we learn the lesson?
but this
no.
story still has hope because, again, we taught these countries in this organization what democracy is hopeful for and how it does
Yes.
work. So the fact that they're putting us in check in a polite little manner, even if the
Yeah.
current administration is ignoring it and spinning it,
Of course.
doesn't mean that we as a community, we have the
We the
power,
people
we the people
the power.
can bring this back. And that's why, even if it's a pain in the ass and I'm depressed half the time and I don't want to get out of bed, I still have hope that in the next 11 or 12 months we can get this back on
Well,
track.
we the people can do it.
A
We the
third of
people.
the electorate did not vote.
Remember that.
I know.
More people didn't vote.
Then-
That,
yes.
then they did.
All it takes, I mean, one got 32%, one got 31%. 36%.
Stayed
Didn't
home.
Yeah, zero got that. The
Yeah.
36%. So
Yeah.
all we ever have to do is just show up on election day.
That's
we
it.
can change
And we
this
can
in
still
the
do
midterms.
this.
And we can
In the
still
We
do
midterm.
can
it.
change
we?
it in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Wow.
with
Three
special
special
elections.
elections.
That's true. So keep your, yeah, no, that's true.
So
On April 1st,
Just
we can
vote.
change it all.
We can start to change it all.
That's right.
you
That's
know?
right. The power
Well,
is us.
That is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire